Education is a gateway to a better future for our nation's young people. Their time at school is an opportunity to discover the possibilities which lay before them and to gain the knowledge and skills they will need to step into adulthood.
Kenya has come a long way in terms of improving the education system, because even the 844, when the 844 system was introduced, it was actually to help students in the job market.
The Kenyan education is characterized by overwhelming amount of theoretical learning and excessive amount of homework assignments. Kenya has had two educational systems since independence: the 7423 and the 844 system. The 7423 system of education lacked the capacity and flexibility to respond to the changing aspirations of individual Kenyans and the labor market needs in terms of new skills, new technologies, and the attitude to work.
The 844 system deals with the cognitive part of the studies, and it doesn't focus very much on the psychomotor, that is the practical skills, and also the affective skills, that is to develop the emotions of the students.
Education system in Kenya is mainly exam oriented. So teachers tend to teach for exams. As a result, students who normally struggle in their learning in school have problems because they have to be seen to be performing, otherwise they'll be ostracized, by the school community, and also their parents also put a lot of pressure on them. They really have it rough in school generally.
According to a recent research which was carried out by the Inter-Council University of Eastern Africa, they say that half of the graduates who graduate from the different universities, especially in East Africa, are not ready for the job market. They do not have the self-confidence, the skills, and they do not have critical thinking skills, and most of them also lack communication skills and also practical skills which will enable them to be effective in the job market.
Although the 844 system has been described a major education reform in the history of Kenya's education system since independence, it does not really address the issue of relevant skills for the job market, taking into cognizance students' learning abilities.
The consequences are that most of them disengage from learning. Most of them are normally found in indiscipline problems. They see that since they cannot perform academically and maybe the school is not looking out for their interest, they tend to engage themselves in behaviors that are deemed as indiscipline, by the school.
The current system in the university, I can say it's almost maybe a 50-50 deal. It's not entirely what I was expecting, because some of the units that you have that you are learning, they are really relevant. But then some of the things that I'm learning in the university, some units, I don't really find the connection. The unit and where your interests are, there's just really no connection at all.
Due to the rigidity of the Kenyan curriculum, the country faces low enrollment rates at post-secondary level. For example, of the 655,000 students who completed their primary level in 2004, only 230,000, which is 35% of them, completed high school 4 years later in 2008. These figures clearly indicate that students find learning more complex, expensive, and unenjoyable as they climb the academic ladder.
The education system creates job seekers rather than job creators, which means that because students cannot be able to use their talents and the education system does not consider their talents, by the time they leave the school, most of them are thinking about seeking employment rather than using their talents to create employment or even to employ themselves.
In 2013, out of the 844,445 students who sat for their KCPE exams, only about 640,000 got admissions in secondary schools. This means that this year alone, 204,475 youths are out of school. For the struggling learners, This paints a very bleak future indeed.
The fact that I'm not doing well in class, the fact that I'm not doing well in science or algebra does not mean that I'm a useless person in the society. Every child has a strength.
The big picture learning design is a dynamic approach to learning, doing and thinking that has been changing the lives of students, educators and entire communities since 1995. All of the components of the design are based on three foundational principles. First, that learning must be based on the interest and goals of each student. Second, that a student's curriculum must be relevant to people and places that exist in the real world. And finally, that a student's abilities must be authentically measured by the quality of her or his work.
What I think we should start thinking of is how to utilize the strengths that every child has. So I'm really interested in the big picture learning because that is exactly what it addresses. Students learn what they love doing.
There are so many things that students can do in school. There are the co-curricular activities which are not emphasized because of the emphasis on passing of exams. So if the school takes into consideration all the students' interests, all their talents, I think it will cater for all the categories of students in schools.
The value that internships and mentorships adds to learning cannot be underestimated. A group of like-minded educators who run an early childhood education school in Kibra believe the BPL model can work well.
I think the big picture learning school is a noble idea. The fact that they consider the potentials of students who've disengaged from learning, they take them in, they train them through internship. I think that's a very noble idea, and it's an idea which you need to emulate, The
internship will be based mostly on the courses that they are doing. For example, the students who are doing engineering, they should have an opportunity to go to a factory or an industry which is really related to their course. If they are doing telecommunication engineering, they should be able to do some practicals in a telecommunication company rather than maybe a factory for producing bread.
So my dream is to see the big picture learning implemented in Kenya, so that even the struggling students, even the students who cannot make it in our traditional education, have an opportunity to learn what they like.
Given the required financial resources, space and facilities, Carol dreams of setting up a BPL school which will tap into the enormous potential of students studying in the Kibra area and transform them to be the giants they need to be.
It will also mean that we get a land for building the school, and then we will also need resources to construct the classes. Again, because the idea of internship is new in Kenya, we really need a lot of professional development, especially from the veteran teachers, the BPL teachers.
We definitely need a BPL school in Kenya. And the school model is certainly non-traditional in that we have internships and students doing real-world projects out in the world. Students must be given a conducive learning environment to learn new skills, explore their talents, and define their destiny.